Arden Downs in Washington, Pennsylvania hosted harness racing as part of the Washington County Fair, with 2-year-olds featured on the first day of action. In a PA Sire Stake filly pace, Coasting Hanover picked up her second straight win, lowering her lifetime mark by nearly 5 seconds, pacing in 2:04 3/5. Spencer Carrig picked up the winning catch drive for trainer Jim Rothfuss. Another filly pace was won by Another Bliss, as she also lowered her lifetime mark to 2:04 3. It was her third consecutive victory, as Kyle Boland guided the filly for trainer Marty Wallum and owners John and Betty Shaw. 3 filly trotting groups were up next on the half-mile oval. Witch's Magic Brew captured the first division in 2:09 3, her 7th consecutive win and her 8th in 9 career starts. Ken Weaver owns and trains the CR Royal Magic filly, while Eddie McKnight was the winning driver. In the second division, Steiner Stock Farm and GB Racing's Vertical Takeoff picked up her first career win, scoring in 2:07 4 for Marty Wallum. In the third filly trot, Leona covered the mile in 2:07 2 for the win. Janet Irvine owns and trains the daughter of SJ's Caviar, while Bill Fay was the winning driver. Colt Pacers were up next, and Ya Gotta Go out of the Rich Gillock stable ended the 6-race win streak of Evening Shadows, pacing the mile on a speedy 1:59 4 for Wilbur Yoder. Evening Shadows was less than a length back in second for Chris Shaw. The day's final 2 Steyer Stakes were for Colt Trotters, and American Generation was impressive in his 2:04 1 victory for driver Winston Lineweaver. SJ Better Days was a winner in the second split, trotting in 2:07 for driver Brian Zent.
It's all SJ Better Days!
3-year-olds were featured on day 2 at the Washington County Fair, and in the opener, My Gal McKenna continued her hot streak, winning for the 7th consecutive time by pacing in 2 minutes for Roger Hammer. In the second division, Fluffy Slippers survived a rough trip first over to get up in the final strides for a 2:02 3/5 victory with Jordan Miller in the bike. The final filly pacing division was won by Bliss Falcon, as Hammer made a return visit to the winner's circle. A Blissful Hall filly, Bliss Falcon paced her mile in 2:02 3/5. Hammer owns and trains as well. In the first division of the 3-year-old PA Sire Stake filly trot, Leola was a wire-to-wire winner for driver Wayne Long in 2:04 3. In a later division, Caviar and Kisses out of the Boots Dunn stable scored in a speedy 2:02 3/5 for driver Brian Zent. The mile was a track record for sophomore trotting fillies, and it was only the beginning for Brian Zent. In the first 3-year-old Colt Pace, Straight Character, owned and trained by Bob Krenitsky Jr. and driven by Zent, was never challenged, going on to win in 1:57 2, the fastest mile ever in the history of the track. The previous mark was 1:57 3. In the second Colt Pace, Stately's Revenge, also driven by Zent, crossed the wire in 1:57 3, just 1/5 off the overall record set in the previous race, but still good enough to be a track record for 3-year-old pacing geldings. Stately's Revenge is owned and trained by Barb and Bob Krenitsky and trained by Bob Sr. In a sophomore Colt trot, Southwind Nitro picked up his 7th win in 11 starts on the season, trotting in 2:02 3/5. The colt is owned by Susan Doherty, while Bill Doherty trains and drove. Quaker Stakes for PA-owned or sired horses concluded the meet. In a Quaker pace, River Bloom won her second straight, pacing in a life best 2:03 3 for owner-driver Corey Kreiser.